So before my mom died, I spent the last 3 days with her. Mother's Day just passed, and her birthday's this week. And it's a hard conversation to have because for a son to lose his mother, and I was close to my mom, to be there the last 3 days, it's almost like a story you would read in a Bible, right?
It's true.
A
It
story you'd
was
read in a
crazy.
Bible. Yeah, we held her hand. Um, she was there in her bed, and she was ready to go home to be with God. She was done with this life here on this earth. She's worked hard. She was 68, and she was ready to go home to be with the Father. I remember my dad calling me 2 weeks before she passed, and my dad said, "Hey guys, I think it's time for you guys to make arrangements to come see your mom." And I got on the phone with my mom, and I'd heard her voice, and I knew she was about to leave this earth. And I remember thinking the conversations that I had with my mom prior to that. I just saw her a few months before that. I got a chance to sit with her and hug her and sit down with her and share stories. If those of you that don't know me, I was a mama's boy. Those of you that grew up with me, I was a mama's boy. I'm one of 5 kids. And people will grow up with us and say, "Man, P, we've never heard you talk, man. We never saw you outside playing." Because I was always with my mom, and my mom was really close to me. I had a really good relationship with her. And it's tough too because I'm in situations now where some people don't understand the peace that I have that my mom went to be with God in heaven
Hmm.
because she wanted to go. I remember us talking, saying, "Mom, do you want to stay or do you want to go?" And she was like, "I'm tired." She was sick. She had so much pain and she
Yeah.
dealt with a lot of health issues over the last couple of years. And she just felt like her work here on this earth was just over. And I haven't shed a tear since she's passed. This is my second Mother's Day without her. Um,
I think I've cried more than you
yeah,
have, but I'm an emotional person and I loved your mom.
yeah, she was special. She was special. When my dad called me and he said, "Hey guys, I think it's time for you guys to make some arrangements to come see your mom." Um, that following weekend or after that weekend, we flew out, me, you, the kids.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember getting to Miami and I told my dad I'm in town and he's like, "Okay, come see your mom." I had no idea what condition my mom was in.
We had no idea.
I knew she just wasn't good. I knew she had, like the hospital bed at the house, and I
Yeah.
knew she had
Hospice was there.
hospice was there. She had some nurses taking care of her. Um, but showing up was hard. That Monday night, it was a long day of traveling.
Yeah.
We jumped in the car with my sister. Um, Shout out to my older sister too, man. She
Yeah.
she was like my second mom. She still is. She's like our second mom.
Yeah.
My mom passed over the mantle to her.
That's for sure. Because that woman is Miss Solange, the spirit of Solange on this earth.
Solange is the name of my mom.
Oh,
Yeah. You be acting like people just know stuff about us.
I, I just,
Um,
they need to know her name if we're going to make a whole episode about her.
yeah,
They need to know
yeah,
her name is Solange
yeah. She would have been 70, I think,
this week.
this week, I believe. Yeah, she would have been 70. And I remember that Monday night when we showed up to her house. We pulled up. It was a weird feeling too, because it's like, man, I saw my mom that summer.
Yeah, you saw her by yourself. We weren't with you.
Yeah, so I saw her. I was in town for a gig
Hmm.
with an artist friend of mine. I was MDing. I was the music director for a big event, and so I saw her a few months before that. And the moment I was in, I called my sister. I was like, "Yo, I want to come see mom and surprise her." I went and surprised mom. I was so happy to see her.
Hmm.
The cool thing is, guys, I have no regrets. We this past Mother's Day last week,
Oh my word.
all all the friends are talking about Mother's Day and they're gonna do this with their mom, this her mom, and I'm like, yeah, I don't have a mom.
Straight silence, guys. I, it never like gets old with you just sitting in those awkward moments. Like you
Yeah.
love, okay, you don't do it too much, but sometimes you really love to watch people squirm. And one of the friends standing there was like,
Oh,
I'm guessing your mom is gone."
yeah. One
And
friend was like, "Is your mom gone?" I was like, "Yeah, she's gone." And he's like, "Oh." I said, "It's fine. I loved her. Her and I had a great relationship, and I have zero regrets.
Oh
And I
my
got a chance to spend the last
goodness.
few days with her, and it was a story from the Bible, man. God blessed the whole thing. She blessed us. We prayed for her, and we watched her leave.
I say
And
it all the time that those last 3 days were the biggest blessing. It's what, like, anyone would pray for
yeah,
and ask for, to have 3 days
mm,
of the family around. We had, like, worship music playing. Your mom even prayed for the family, like, as we were in that room. She was praying for us. All the grandkids were, like, loud and crazy playing hide and go seek. 'Cause it didn't register to them what was going on, but we knew that that's what your mom loved.
yeah,
We knew that she loved the kids, the noise, the craziness. I mean, she raised 5 kids, and
yeah.
so to have 6 grandkids under what,
I don't know,
I don't know, London was like maybe
10.
maybe 10, so 6 grandkids under 10 years old, and it was not a big house. It was chaos, and they're running and screaming. Um, but it was
Yeah,
just the most peaceful 3 days, just taking care of her, worshiping with her, praying over her, her praying over us.
yeah. When we walked in that night, and we saw her laying there, man, I I broke.
Yeah, that was hard.
My mom was the strongest woman I know. And I'm not saying that because people say, oh, my mom was the strongest woman. Nah, because some of y'all mamas out there weak.
What is why? Why you have to throw darts at other mamas?
I'm just playing. I just play my mom, man. I watch my mom. She got these Haitian hands, right? We always talk about these Haitian
Well,
hands.
oh,
These hands right here, like she's never whooped us with a belt because her hands were like steel. I mean, she will put stuff in the oven to cook and she just pull it out with her bare hands.
saw it with my own
You
eyes,
saw,
y'all.
you
It was
witnessed it.
wild.
She just pulled out with your bare hands. I'm like, these are the hands of God.
Made
Like
no sense.
my mom, I mean, so tough. She had a 24/7 prayer line too.
Sure
So
did.
anytime I call my mom, she was on the other line praying with other people.
That's true.
And then the
I
crazy thing is, you don't know because she's like having a full conversation with you. Uh-huh. Yeah, baby. Yeah, listen. And then you say, you know what? Listen, I have so and so on the other line. I said, Mom, we've been talking for 20 minutes. You got these other people on the other line waiting for you. And they're in Canada, they're in Haiti, they're in New York. Like prayer lines. People knew my mom was close with God. She walked with the Lord. I mean, there was some times, man, she's had a lot of medical issues in the last 10 plus years.
yeah,
And a lot of it, she hid from us because she was so strong. She was taking care of herself, but she didn't, like most mothers, you don't
yeah,
want your children to worry.
yeah,
And so my mom was just tough. She did everything for us, right? I mean, when we were moving furniture around the house, like my dad wasn't the one moving furniture around the house. It was my mom. My mom and my sisters, actually.
that's so
Don't
true.
ask me where I was. Don't be judging. I was,
Busy.
busy. But my mom was just so strong and so tough. Like she was always there. And so to walk into the room that night and to see her laying there, almost lifeless,
Yeah. So
um,
frail.
frail, just sick, ready to go.
Yeah.
Um, when I called her, which was crazy, like when I called her 2 weeks before that, when my dad called, and I said, Pop, can I talk to mom? And he put her on the phone. And I remember my mom saying, she said, I'm waiting for you. Remember that time?
Yep.
She said, I'm waiting for you. When am I going to see you? And I remember sitting there, I said, Mom, I'm coming. Mom, I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. She said, okay, I'm waiting for you. We got in Monday. My other brother got in Tuesday. Monday and Tuesday, we all flew in and we're standing there. I mean, I bawled like a baby when I got off the phone with my mom that day.
Yeah.
And then to walk into a room a week later to see her like this was tough. I mean, we cried every single day, but
Oh my gosh. My face was like raw from crying all day.
here's what was so beautiful, y'all, is um here we are sitting next to my mom on what you would call her deathbed for 3 days. We held her hand, we gave her water, we took care of her. She laid hands on every single one of us
Yeah.
and prayed for us and blessed us. Every single kid, every single grandchild, she laid their hands on us and prayed for us and blessed us. Here's a woman that has no more life to give
Yeah.
and is passing on the biggest thing we can ever have. She was blessing us. She was casting out demons. She was pushing back all levels of darkness, like breaking generational curses.
I said it then. I said, like, where our family ends up will be so much because of that woman's prayers.
Yeah. To walk into that room for those days, and then we would be there for hours.
Yeah.
For hours. We would just sit there by her bed for hours. All the little kids are all there in the room going wild, crazy. My kids are bouncing off the wall. They're
They're
fighting.
so
They're
bored.
yelling. They're screaming. They're crying like animals. Yo, you
They're
would have thought
hungry.
this was a zoo full with chimpanzees.
They were
And it was
nuts.
her grandkids. Most grandparents would be like, no, quiet, quiet. My mom was loving it.
Yeah, she
She was
loved
an
it.
extrovert.
Yeah.
So people gave her life.
Yeah.
Like the kids, the grandkids, we all walk into that room. And for her to bless us, like for us to walk into that room and she would whisper with her voice saying, you good? You
Yeah.
okay?
Actually, that was one of the things at the end was that she got me confused with someone and she thought I was sick with cancer. And I won't forget when I walked into the room that Monday night when she saw it was me, like her face, it registered with her that I wasn't sick because she kept telling your sister, like, we have to pray for Danny Lee. She's sick. She's sick. And it was something that was confused in her mind.
Yeah,
And when we walked in, I could tell that she was realizing, like, oh, good, Danny Lee's not sick.
yeah,
And I was like, I'm okay, mom. I'm okay. It's okay. Like, I'm fine. I'm okay.
yeah,
And that was like a huge moment to, like, see her facial expression because there wasn't a lot of it. It would come and go
yeah.
on those days. I remember you showing her, um, like, clips of you preaching.
Mm.
You showed her a few of those. Also, she always thought she was watching you on CC Winans.
Every time she watching TBN, she'll call me and say, oh, I see you on the TV all the time. You're on there with CC Winans. And I'm like, yeah, mom, yeah. And I'm like, it's probably another dark black dude that looks like me. And and I'm like, okay, sure, mom. But I didn't want to let my mom down and say, yeah, that's not me. I'm like, yep, yep, yep,
Yep, that's
yep.
me.
Amen. Amen. One day I'll connect with Cece and we'll write and produce. And we'll write, produce, perform songs and change the nations. But I'd walk into a room and I saw these shows, these videos on the TV, and I'm like, oh, that's not
That's
me.
not me.
I knew it wasn't me the whole time. I just needed
Right.
to see the shows that she was watching.
That
Um,
was so funny.
it's beautiful, y'all, because I have no regrets with my relationship with my mom. We had a good relationship. I honestly was, I can say this, proud to say that I never gave my mom a hard time growing up. And here I am, mid 30s. My mom should have been 70 this week. And I have no regrets. I'm happy to say that I was a child who obeyed, who listened to my parents.
Yeah.
And it's one of the greatest fruits to have now. Like, the cool thing about having no regrets is you get to build on what was left and go forward. Like, when you have regret, you're spending your whole time going back. Man, I should have.
Yeah.
Wish I would have. Could we have?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here thinking, like, man, how can I encourage people to really think about what are the relationships in your life right now that you haven't reconciled because you think, oh, you'll have time. Not everyone has time like the way I had
Sure
time.
don't.
The last 3 days, I'll say this, I have 4 siblings, so I'm one of 5. And all 5 of us had different relationships with my mom.
Right.
And some of my siblings gave my mom a hard time and they're dealing with it now. I can see it, I can feel it in just how they talk, how they respond, how they're constantly brokenhearted going to the past. And to me, I'm like, we got to move forward, man. Mom's in a better place. She's chilling right now.
Yeah. She's
And
happy with Jesus.
I have hope and faith that I will see her again one day.
Yeah.
So the reason why I still talk about mom like, yo, man, like one day, because one day we'll see her. I have peace. There was nothing that I look back saying, man, I wish I would have listened. Man, I wish I wouldn't have gave her a hard time. I have this picture right here of my mom, and I we have it everywhere. Like it's I have it at my desk. I have it sitting on the piano. My kids know it. Even my
Mhm.
4 year old.
Yeah.
She's like, Daddy, I miss your mommy. I miss grandma.
Mhm.
And she was an angel, man.
Yeah. But I will say that this episode has like a lot of emotions, but when we talk about her day to day, like it's not such a sad moment.
Yeah.
Like it's the piece you were talking about, like that we have no regrets,
Yeah.
that we had that gift of the last 3 days.
Mm,
Um, and that when we talk about her now, it really is like watching TV. The kids
yeah.
are running through the living room, and our 4-year-old is like, I miss your mommy. And he's like, yeah, me too. And I'm like, ugh, me
Yeah.
too. Like, and then we move on. So I know there's a lot of like sadness. I'm crying a lot because I love your mom, but that's not how it is for us every day because we don't have that regret, because we
Yeah.
live with the peace of knowing we will see her again
Yeah.
someday.
Yeah. I want to encourage you guys, like, think about the relationships that are in your life that you know it's not where it's supposed to be. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you're here thinking that you have time, or you're thinking that that person's going to come up to you. Like, reconcile that,
Because
restore that.
Because it's the thing of saying those 3 days were the biggest gift that anybody could ever ask or pray for, and that is because majority of people do not get that.
Yeah.
Most of the time when someone dies, you don't get a 2-week notice.
Yeah.
We got a 2-week notice, and we were able to spend time and pull those 3 days. They were long 3 days. By the end, I was praying like, "I'm exhausted, like, Lord, please take her,"
Yeah.
because we knew she was exhausted and we were exhausted, but majority of the time, it is in an instant,
Yeah.
and that's it, and there's no going back,
There's
and
no
there's
going back.
no opportunity to say one more thing or to say you're sorry, like, that's it. Majority of the time, we don't get to control the outcome, and we don't get to control how it happens,
It's
and
true.
so we literally have to live day to day knowing it could happen at any minute,
Any minute.
any
Any
minute.
minute. And what are the things that we can do now? Like, I'll be honest with you, I don't have a great relationship with my dad.
Yeah,
Like, we're fine. Like, I don't have any bad feelings towards him. I love him and I care for him.
right.
But because of our differences, and I was a mama's boy growing up, and because of the distance between us, from when I was growing up now
Yeah.
as an adult, that relationship was never cultivated. It was never there.
Yeah, I think people do not talk about the relationship between a parent and a child and that relationship becoming from adult to adult.
Yeah.
I don't think people talk about it enough because it is really a delicate walk. It really is intricate. It is a child becoming an adult and knowing, no, this is the decision I'm going to make. No, this is the decision I'm going to make. And that parent is still thinking, you are crazy. What are
Yeah.
you doing?
Yeah.
And I have conversations all the time with women in their 60s and 70s who sit in my chair at the salon, and they talk about how their kids that are
Mm.
40s and 50s are making crazy decisions. And like it's such a different adjustment to an adult, even though that relationship is there as a parent.
Yeah.
And so it
Mm.
makes sense that you and your dad have a complicated
Yeah.
relationship now that mom isn't there to be that bridge.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because I think so many times when it comes to a child and their parent, when we're all adults, you can, it's easy to hang on to how it was and when we were kids. But really it's like, well, no, I'm an adult now.
Yeah.
And this is not a child to his father. This is a man to a man,
Yeah.
or a man to a woman, not just a mother and son situation, because the son could be a grown man and the son could have sons.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, how do we fix that? How do we restore that, cultivate that? Because at the end of the day, like, again, um, death sometimes comes by surprise. Sometimes, like you said, we don't have a notice. And so regret, man, is the biggest thing that someone could deal with. So I want to
Yeah.
encourage you guys, think about those relationships, that person that's in your life that that if they were to die right now, if they were to die right now, can you sit here and say, you know what? I'm glad we still spoke. I'm glad we fixed the beef that we had. I'm
Right.
glad that we restored what was broken. I'm glad that we reconciled and came in agreement to what the new relationship should be like.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's a good feeling. You know what I mean? That regret can kill you, man. It's a cancer that there's no cure for it.
Right. I do think another part of the experience that the kids go through as becoming adults is that we learn to see our parents in a different light.
Yeah.
When we're kids, we think our kids or our parents are the best thing ever and that they are perfect and that they know all the answers and they have all the solutions. Like we look up to our parents as the everything. They're the best mom and dad we've ever had in our whole life
Mm-hmm.
because they're the only mom and dad we've ever had in our whole life.
Yeah.
And then we start to become adults and we're like, oh, maybe my parents didn't do that, or maybe they could have done that better.
Mm.
I think it's always grace to give our parents to say they always did the best they knew how to,
Yeah.
or that they did better than their parents did. But I just think it's a big part of the children's responsibility to give that grace to our parents
Yeah.
and to not allow whatever mistakes they made, whatever decisions they made, to not allow that to create space in between us.
Mm.
But it's the kids' job to be like, "Hey, you did the best you
Yeah.
could."
Yeah.
Because I want my kids to give me that grace.
It's
When
true.
my kids are adults, I'm sure they're going to be like, "Dude, you jacked that up." It's true. I tried not to, but I tried to do my best.
Yeah.
I don't want my kids to hold that against me. So in return, I have to give that grace to my
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah. Speaking of grace too, I think it's not just to parents. I think it's all relationships,
That's true.
right? I think like I'll be honest, like, we've had this conversation between you and I. I think there's times where it's you give grace to the kids, but not grace to me.
Mm, that's a lot harder.
I know it's a lot harder, right? Right? It's right because
It's
it's
true. It's
because
harder.
because it's easier to give grace to people that are under you,
Yeah,
and it's harder to give grace to people that are
that's
over you.
very true.
That's what that is. Because they're over you.
Yeah,
You
you expect
expect
more.
more from them. So because you expect more from them, it's hard for you to give them grace.
100%.
But I do believe, like Jesus said it, man, it's better to give than to receive. And so what you reap or what you sow is what you will reap. And so for me, like I'm a person that like I work really hard to give grace.
Yeah,
Like someone comes late, I say, hey, it's all good. It's all good. Well, like we're gonna talk about it later,
sure.
but it's all good to give that grace because I want more grace in my life. And I think about when it comes to relationships, like if we can all practice giving grace up, down, and around,
Yeah,
our relationships would be a lot smoother. Like people wouldn't be walking on eggshells, right? People wouldn't be so passive aggressive when it comes to relationships,
yeah,
even between like you and I. Like we talk about that's an active conversation we're having right now. Remember,
right.
I told you the other day, I was like, hey man, how come you have a hard time telling me sorry? Because like when it's time for me to say sorry, I'm like, sorry. When it's time for you to say sorry, you're like, but wait, what? Wait, hold that. But yeah, however,
I got
nevertheless,
there.
sometimes perhaps maybe that I'm sorry. Fine. I'm like, why'd you have to take the long way around the world to
It
tell me
didn't
sorry,
take that long. You're so dramatic.
babe? Like it was
It took
like
an extra 2
it
seconds.
was like pulling a back tooth just to tell you, just to make you say sorry to me.
But once I understood why you were asking for an apology,
Yeah.
then I was fine to say, I'm sorry. I did not
Yeah.
want you to feel that. I did not mean to imply that. And I am sorry.
I think when it comes to even saying sorry, I think what happens is it's easy to project onto the other person why they deserve the sorry based off of why you would want the sorry. I think what happened in that
Mm,
moment is it was hard for you to tell me sorry because you're like, well, you don't feel it like I feel it.
true.
Sorry doesn't do to you what it does to me. But here's what I've learned. And I never said this to you. You're gonna hear this right now for the first time.
Everybody, it was the first time.
No, this is gonna be good. It's gonna bless you. It's here's what I've learned is that women want to be loved, men want to be respected. So when I say
We read a whole book about
but
that.
what I'm saying is, so when I say I'm sorry to you, you feel loved. When I
Right.
don't say I'm sorry to you, you don't feel the love. So there's times where you're like, I don't feel love. For me, when you say sorry to me, I feel respected. When you don't say sorry to me,
You feel
it's
disrespected.
disrespectful.
Okay, that's
In
valid.
that moment the other day when you wouldn't say sorry, remember I said it's because I feel like I messed up and I did something wrong and it wasn't me. And not saying sorry, not saying, ooh, sorry, my bad, babe, I misread that. That's on me. Not saying that. It's like, dang, like no respect.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying, right? I know we read a whole book about love and respect, but I'm saying like there's so many layers to it that we're
There's a
still
lot of
learning
layers.
after 14 years of marriage.
Sure.
We're still learning it. So that book that we read 14 years ago, I bet if we read it right now, there'll be brand new revelations.
Sure.
But what I'm saying is talking about grace and
Yeah.
talking about apologies. Like apologies can literally like open up somebody and open up their soul
Yeah.
just by saying, you know what? I'm sorry.
It takes those walls down.
Yeah.
Takes those
On both
defensive
sides.
takes the defensive walls down on both sides. Yeah. It's very true.
Yeah. I have this message that my mom sent me. So if you guys know my mom was the most encouraging person ever,
Ever.
ever. And I'm
She
not
always
saying this,
was.
and I'm not saying this because she's dead. Because people people
Listen.
be like,
Oh,
oh, he was such a good kid. He never got in trouble. I said, Mom, he
Was
robbed somebody at gunpoint.
he was a mass shooter, and they just think
He
he's the best
strangled
kid.
every single one of them while looking into their eyes, poked their eyes out, and ate it. And moms be like, he was just a good kid. He
They'll be on the news
he
being
never
like,
got
he's
in
a good
trouble.
kid.
And then the police officer saying like he has a record the size of a library.
And he is violent in every single one of them. And the mom is like, he was a good boy.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't, ma'am. He wasn't.
But you know what it is? I think it's a part of dealing with the loss and accepting that they're gone, and it's better to hold on to the good memories. I understand that. So what I'm saying is about my mom was an angel, she was a saint. No, she'll bust you up too. I remember one time, me and my brother, we were outside. We were young kids. We were probably 8, 9, or 10. We were outside playing sword fight with tennis rackets. My mom looked outside the window. She's like, hey. She was bigger on when she ran outside. She grabbed these tennis rackets. All of a sudden, these tennis rackets, we're getting hit by these tennis rackets, but it's not by each other. My mom had one going at me, one going at my brother. We're all going. She's like, hey, never saw them tennis rackets ever again.
Oh my goodness.
She donated them to Salvation Army. Which is messed up because we bought them from Salvation Army too.
I do wish that I could have seen your mom in like her prime motherhood life.
Yeah.
I mean, like y'all were wild.
We were wild.
Y'all jumped off the roof of your 2-story house into the pool in the
Imagine
backyard.
having 5 kids.
That's insanity.
5 kids in between the ages of newborn and 9.
That's it. I mean, she's another type of woman. So I do wish that I could have seen like her in that phase of like grabbing y'all, whooping y'all, pulling y'all
I got
together.
this voice note right here. Or actually, my mom called me in 2021. This was a voice memo. Well, she called me before she passed a few times. Well, the phone call stopped around that summer.
Mm-hmm.
It's that spring or summer. That's when I knew things were changing for her.
Yeah.
Right. But this voice memo that I have from her, like, this is crazy. I'm gonna see if I can play it right here, see if you guys can hear it. This is my mom. Oh, hold on 1 second. Stand by. See if I can put this thing on speaker. I should have had this thing queued up. You know, sometimes these things don't
you
be.
did, bro.
I know. I thought I did too, but it's not. Doesn't seem to be working. There we go.
Hi, Kitty. How are you, baby? I miss you guys. I just checking on you to see how everybody is doing. Okay, I hope everything is fine. Okay? May God bless you and keep it on. Keep on with the Lord. Okay? We'll talk again. And maybe when you have a chance, give me a call. I want to know how is everybody, how is the family. Okay? God bless you, honey. Love you. Bye-bye. Bye.
It's crazy. And that's what conversations were like with her all the time.
All the time.
She didn't know how to leave voicemails too. She didn't know how to end it. Because
she said bye like 4 times.
She said bye a few times. She's like, okay, all right, call me back. Keep it up. God bless you. Just want to know how everybody's doing. But again, she was a people's person. She was the type of person that lifted up every single person in the room. I mean, when we were struggling, going through hard times, my mom was like, okay, say no more. We're praying right now. I'm calling all my friends.
She said, okay, baby, it's going to be okay.
It's going to be just fine.
Give it to God, and that's it.
And I'm going to call tomorrow, and I want to know.
I remember when we first got married, I was really sick, and the doctors thought I had Crohn's disease. And when we told your mom, she was like, it's okay. They're on my prayer line. It's okay. And I remember the day before I was going in for a colonoscopy, and your mom, she grabbed me, her and her prayer partner at
Mm.
church, and she grabbed a hold of my stomach. And I told you, like, babe, your mom squeezed me to like
Mm.
a size 2. Listen, y'all, if you've never met me in person, I've never been a size 2
That's
my
crazy.
whole entire life. But my mother-in-law squeezed that waist in when she, in the name of
In the
Jesus,
name of Jesus. She's
in the
sweating,
name of
spitting.
Jesus. And she squeezed me and she squeezed me and she prayed over me. And I went to go get that colonoscopy, and the doctor said, yeah, it looks like you've been sick. It looks like there are these signs. And she was like, but I don't see anything. You should be good from now on.
Yeah.
And my stomach was never the same again.
That's crazy. She was the one that taught me like how to maintain relationships.
Yeah.
We live in a world right now where we don't know how to start relationships and we don't know how to keep relationships. We know how to build bridges, we know how to burn bridges down, but we live in a world where we don't know how to maintain
So true.
bridges. Like, she was the type of person that when she called you, she wasn't calling you for anything other than she just wanted to check on you. That's all. She just wanted to check on you. And she's the one that taught me that. And even now, I've learned that now. Like, I reach out to people and I call people. And sometimes guys like, hey, so what's up? I was like, hey, man, just literally just checking on you. You good? Just checking in. My mom taught me that.
Yeah.
Right. I've had a lot of mentors in my life. I've had pastors. I've had a lot of people, a lot of teachers, right? Because, that's the world we live in. We need to have multiple people in our lives. Everyone can teach us different things. She was the one that specifically taught me how to build and maintain relationships with people.
Yeah.
And what I loved about her is that she had a relationship with every single person. Like, you and her had a relationship.
Bro.
There's times like she's not calling me and she calling you. I'm like, why my mama calling you for?
At her funeral, everybody kept getting up and saying like, yo, man, they're like, I can't believe she's gone. She was like a second mom to me. And I started feeling some type of way because your mom treated me like she was my mom.
Yeah.
She treated me like I remember the first time that I ended up in all 5 of the kids' names because your mom would have to go through like all 5 children before she got to the one she was actually trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
So she named all your siblings and then she was saved Peter finally.
Yeah.
And so with me, one time when I got in the round of all the kids, I was like, I'm officially
You
a
made
kid.
it.
I made it.
You're stuck in there
And
too.
so at your mom's funeral, all these people are like, yo, man, like she was a second mom to me. She'd always build me up. She'd
Yeah.
always, and I was like, wait,
Right.
she didn't do that just for me. I thought she did it just for me because she loved me.
Mhm.
Is literally just who she was with everyone.
Every single one. I mean, there was close to 1,000 people at her funeral. We
It
had like
was
over
crazy.
2,000 people that watched the stream, and to see everyone, like everyone had stories about moments that she had with them. We
Oh,
had
there were
people,
some crazy stories too.
yeah, people saying like, it's because of your mom I did this. It's
Yep.
because of your mom I knew this. People was like, your mom was the one that taught me how to worship. Your mom was the one that taught me how to read the Bible. Your mom was the one that prayed for me when I was sick.
Yep.
Your mom was the one that came and bought my family's groceries when we didn't have a car. Your mom was the one that came and picked us up and let us borrow her Sam's Club card just so that we can get groceries. Your mom was the one that would pick up my kids from school. And I was just like, my mom? When did she do all?
How did she do that with 5 kids?
When did she do all this? This is crazy. Because I go to sleep and she's praying, and I wake up and she's still praying.
That's true. The first few weeks when we were dating and I moved down to Florida and your mom would pray in the living room in the house.
That's right.
Bruh, she'd pray from 4 a.m. till like 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. She's fasting, she's praying, she's on her prayer mat. And like, I would just want her to stop so that we could go sit out in the living room or sit out in the dining room, like to get out of the house. And she would just pray all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing was stopping her.
Man, it's crazy. Yo, we could sit here all day long and talk about this because
No, there's literally stories for days we didn't
stories for
even get to
days.
touch. But I do think the most important thing is remembering that time is a gift and it can be taken away
Mhm.
in an instance.
Yep.
I think that, giving grace so that we receive grace, even if it's up, even if it's down, and it's all around. Like it is harder, you're right, to give grace up. But if I said it, if I want my kids to be graceful towards me once they become adults and they see my flaws,
Yeah.
like I'm going to give grace to my parents.
Yeah, it's good.
And then I think the other thing is like, I just want to love people like how your mom loved people.
Mm.
Like to be that friend. Like I've done some stuff this week for a friend, like been there as much as I could to help support a friend, like to be the person. Like I remember someone talked about at the funeral, it was a friend of yours, and he was like, "Yo, your mom pulled me over one time." He was riding his bike or something
With no shirt on.
with no shirt on. And he was saying how your mom like said, "No, we don't carry ourselves like this." Like you're like she spoke purpose into that guy.
Yeah.
And it changed the way he thought about himself. And like I want to be that type of person to people to be like, "No, you can do better. You are better. You're worth more." Like I want to be that
Yeah,
person to
she
other
mothered
people.
everybody. My friend, he is my middle school best friend. I remember him I love him because him and I were the one that we came up with something that we used to call in middle school. We called it the slut slap.
No, I knew you were going to say it.
Yeah, we were wild. It was middle school.
YouTube's gonna flag
You
us.
remember middle school, man? Like you cuss like a pirate. You're just wild. I was in middle school, y'all. Don't judge me,
Lord.
right? They're gonna
They're
cancel
gonna
me.
get all
They're
guidelines.
gonna cancel me because something I did when I was like, man, this guy's abusing girls. I was like, I was in middle school. Like, relax.
Oh
All right, we
man,
would
I
do
knew
this.
you were gonna
I'm
say
not
it.
gonna even call. I'm not gonna even describe what the slap was. I will actually. It was like basically when you go to slap someone, you hit them with the backhand, but you turn real quick and add a scratch at the end.
Oh my word.
But yeah, that's my homeboy, and that's crazy, right? We had stories for days because my mom mothered everybody,
Yeah.
and she had a relationship with every single person that she encountered.
Yeah.
So when I grow up, who do I want to be like? I want to be like my mom. I want to learn how to give more grace. I want to learn how to say I'm sorry. I want to learn how to help everybody up, down, and all around. So I want to encourage you guys, man. Let's work hard at building relationships, restoring them, developing them, maintaining them, reconciling them, man. Life is really short. And for us to have a mindset of just like, well, here's what this person did to me. Here's what, let it go, forgive. You want forgiveness, give forgiveness. You want grace, give it. Like it is way much better to give than to receive. And so that's what we're doing here at Let's Dig the podcast. We love to help people build relationships and restore them, not only just in our marriage, right? There's a lot of things we talk about in our marriage that can pertain to so many different areas, but man, it's all around, man. Life gets so much better when relationships do. So that's all I got to say. You got anything else you want to say?
No, let's dig.
Let's dig. Peace.